Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
The World Health Organization is calling it a variant of concern. A new COVID variant has been found in South Africa, and now the U.S. and other countries are scrambling to keep it from spreading. Brandon.
Some Friday flurries, but we're tracking some weekend snow that will certainly start to stack up. Sandra.
All right, Brandon, but we're going to go ahead and begin with a deadly shooting along Woodward Avenue, and police say it was a son who shot and killed his mother inside a moving car, but it didn't end there. The man then got out of the car and started shooting at other cars at random.
And this happened right about 11 o'clock last night at Woodward and 696, right at the border of Royal Oak and Pleasant Ridge. Priya Mann shows us what happened and also spoke to neighbors who are stunned over this news.
Not only to take your own mother's life, but then to go around at random. It's shocking.
The Thanksgiving tragedy started with the gunman shooting his mother while she was driving.
Obviously, we love our kids unconditionally, and sometimes that puts you in a dangerous position.
The mother and son were on Woodward under the 696 overpass approaching Royal Oak. The gunman was sitting in the passenger seat when he opened fire, shooting his mom in the head.
That is pretty scary. Yeah, that usually doesn't happen around here.
The 52-year-old Southfield woman died at the scene.
I don't know if I could ever understand the mind of somebody that could do something like that.
The gunman shot his own mom in Pleasant Ridge, then jumped out of the car and started to head toward Royal Oak, where he kept shooting at vehicles. He had 3 more cars, hitting a 43-year-old woman in the thigh. She was rushed to the hospital, expected to make a full recovery.
You would never expect that, and I mean, wrong place, wrong time. That's an awful situation, and she didn't deserve that.
Hopefully, she's going to be able to have full range of motion and be able to do all the things that she wanted to do before.
Police arrested a 22-year-old Troy man near the scene and recovered a 9mm handgun.
I feel really bad about that, especially on Thanksgiving.
If anything, this is a season for taking care of people, for loving one another.
Obviously, no person wants to actually do that. They just have mental health issues or something like that.
I think that we need to think about our mental health the same way that we think about our physical health. And, if people are hurting, we would hope that they would ask for help.
And there were multiple 911 calls from terrified drivers. Both Royal Oak and Pleasant Ridge police responded. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department is taking over the investigation. The case will be handed over to the prosecutor's office. We'll have more next week on charges. Reporting live tonight, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, a disturbing case there. Thank you, Priya.
Heading into the long weekend now, and we've got a decent shot of snow on the way.
Oh, we do. Brandon in tonight with when it's going to hit and how much we could end up with. The kids are excited about hearing about that, Brandon.
Right. Even though through COVID, did we lose snow days? We won't talk about it. I think we might have. We have some measurable snow that maybe gets the kids excited for snowboards and sleds and skis. We have upper 20s. There is a little west-northwest wind, about 6 to 13 miles an hour. So these 20s will feel more like the upper teens if you have plans to head out, maybe some late Black Friday shopping, but fewer flakes and flurries as the winds are starting to die down. So that does help, both in the way of lake effect snow and how it feels out there. But again, not really worried about what we're seeing here. It's tomorrow that we track snow showers. So coming up, we'll take a look at the snow, when it arrives, how much to expect, both Saturday, Sunday, and another system, ladies, Monday into Tuesday next week.
Brandon, state is not releasing new coronavirus numbers today because of the holidays. So let's take a look at the 7-day moving average. On November 10th, we were averaging 3,600 cases a day. Today, that average is 7,400. And as cases spike here in Michigan, there are fears over a new variant that is emerging out of South Africa.
Starting Monday, in fact, the Biden administration restricting travel now from South Africa and 7 other nations. Let's get out live to Nick Monticelli tonight. And Nick, we know Canada and the EU also issuing travel restrictions today.
Yeah, because everybody is afraid of what this new variant called Omicron could do to our fight against COVID-19. In fact, we've been talking for days, weeks, honestly, about Michigan's numbers, how we are the highest state in the country, and how our hospitals are just overwhelmed, getting close to the point where they can't accept new patients. What could this new variant do to that already long problem?
But it's something that has emerged in South Africa and seems to be spreading at a reasonably rapid rate.
Red flags and concern as the holiday season begins. Scientists are designating a new coronavirus variant called Omicron, a variant of concern. It has an unusually high number of mutations, more than 30 in the key spike protein. That's the vital structure the coronavirus uses to attack cells. Experts fear Omicron could spread easier and reduce the effectiveness of vaccines.
They're seeing that it's a bit more widespread in South Africa than was originally felt a couple of days ago.
Pfizer says if needed, their vaccine can be adapted within 6 weeks. Omicron is rapidly spreading in parts of South Africa, but right now does not appear to be in the U.S. However, President Biden is not taking any chances, putting new travel restrictions in place, banning visitors from South Africa and 7 other countries in the region beginning Monday.
Except for American citizens who are able to come back. But we don't know a lot about the variant except that it is a great concern.
Meanwhile, the FDA says a new pill for COVID-19 is effective. Merck's COVID-19 pill is a treatment, not a vaccine. Regulators say the pill is effective, but they're looking for more information on risks of birth defects and other problems during pregnancy. The pill is already being used in the UK. And the FDA will have more discussions about that Merck pill next week, likely on Tuesday. And Sandra, there's also a lot of conversation about this new variant, Omicron. If our current vaccinations aren't going to work against it, as you heard, Pfizer said they can adapt theirs, but that would likely mean that we would have to go through a new round of vaccinations.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk today, obviously, about vaccinations. And what did Dr. Fauci have to say about booster shots, Nick?
Actually, he talked a lot about that, about the misnomers that the booster shots simply are there just to boost your immunity. He says it's not like a third level of protection. He says over time, the effectiveness of the booster or the shot will go down. So that booster shot is just to maintain where you're at. So it's maintaining, not boosting, something he's trying to get out there.
Yeah, still lots to sort through here. All right. Thank you, Nick.
Well, news of the new coronavirus variant had a big effect today on the stock market. The Dow fell 905 points at closing, logging its worst performance since October of 2020. The S&P 500 also closed down 2.3%, its worst day since February. And the Nasdaq Composite finished with a 2.2% drop, its worst since September. Now, to new information tonight, we're learning into the second arrest in the murder of a Detroit mom killed in her driveway just after she dropped her children off at school.
19-year-old Jaron Cox now faces a charge of first-degree murder in connection with the case. Megan Woods live tonight with more on what the chief is saying about this. Megan?
Yeah, Chief White really wanted to stress how tragic this case is, especially for this woman's family. If you remember last week when she was killed, an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old lost their mother. And so Chief White is hoping that today's update will help those kids as well as any other family and friends that know her to have closure.
This is probably one of the more tragic cases that I've seen.
Andrea Tucker, a Detroit mother of 2, was gunned down in the middle of a daily routine many parents can relate to, returning home from dropping her kids off at school.
This case really tugged at the heart of the entire department.
Her ex-boyfriend, David Hammond, has been a person of interest since the start of the investigation. He was out on bail for domestic violence, arson, felonious assault, and home invasion. Tucker was set to testify in court against Hammond, but it's his son, Jaron Cox, who is charged with first-degree murder. Chief James White said investigators put in a lot of hard work to get to this point.
Not stopping when things seem to point to one direction. But continue to unpack the evidence that they had, which was just amazing police work.
Cox is also charged with felony firearm and intimidating a witness. For police, the work doesn't end here.
This is not an acceptable circumstance, obviously, and we want to make sure that we learn from what happened and what did not happen in this case, so that we can provide the services needed. I think the department did everything that we possibly could. There's nothing we could have done to prevent this matter.
And Chief White says it's still unclear how well Cox knew his father's ex-girlfriend, and they say that even though Cox is charged, that doesn't mean David Hammond, his father, is off the hook right now. He's still being investigated. He's still a person of interest. Karen, Sandra?
Yeah, and Megan, we know this affects so many families. What about resources? What are some of the resources that Detroit police have for some of these domestic violence survivors?
Yeah, so they have social workers. They're planning to add more social workers on staff. And they also have a victims assistance hotline, and that's open 24 hours. And we'll have that information on clickondetroit.com.
All right. Thank you, Megan. In years past, today has been all about the shopping.
Yeah, it's a little different, though, this year. New tonight, how Black Friday shopping is definitely different and why you might say that way.
Plus, what investigators are saying tonight about that massive explosion in Flint that damaged more than 24 homes.
Oh, but first, get ready, everybody. Rod the Builder off and running on this year's challenge. So how is he going to do this year? We are going to check in with him right after the break. Do not go away. We'll be right back.